Hey, it's Aja. Welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. If you haven't been here before, I make videos about exploring, learning, and pivoting in your career, whether that is early in life or later in your journey. And I like to show both my wins and my losses, my L's, because I just want the journey to be real. I want the journey to be real. So if that interests you, subscribe. Okay, so I'm gonna start this video out a little bit vlog-like, but I'm gonna end with a story time. So I think the story is very interesting and very exciting. You should stay tuned for the story. Or if you want, you can skip to it because I think I would have put chapters on this video. So you can skip to the story time. If you watch nothing else, watch the story. If you're not into vlogs, watch the story time. I'm putting it all in one video because I just frankly don't want to make multiple videos out of it. And I didn't know I was going to make a story time ahead of time. Okay? I didn't know. Hey, it's Aja. I'm in a hurry because I need to meet one of my crewmates downstairs in about 1 minute. But I just wanted to say I am on a layover in Los Angeles. It's a beautiful day. I'm about to go get ramen with my crewmate. Let's go! Pretty. This is my crewmate. Wow, it is such a pretty day. I saw outside the window, like when I saw the view, I was like, oh, it's nice.
Yeah, no, I do recall being in this area too. Like, I've definitely gone to this hotel. It's definitely a nice hotel.
I don't think I've been before, but I'm feeling it. I don't mind having to leave a little bit early. Let me turn the camera around. How did you do that? I have never seen a human being make a sound like that with their...
It's an inhale whistle.
Wow.
Fly like bird.
Okay, first of all, I ordered the spicy ramen. Look at it, it is beautiful. And extra bamboo shoots because I love those. We have minimum on the table. And here we have the garlic ramen, also spicy version. Less spicy than mine, theoretically. We'll find out.
Yeah, well, they look pretty similar though, honestly.
They do. That's why I'm like, theoretically. We've also been having a little sip of sips. I look forward to it. I can't wait, actually. I love spicy food.
There's not as tender as it should be. It's supposed to be a lot fattier.
You're right. Flavor is good, but the meat quality
The broth is definitely good though.
yes. It is spicy. They did deliver the spice, but it is so good. I'm enjoying. Oh yeah, that'll clear your sinuses. The meat was so-so, but the noodles and the broth and everything were so good. And now, my friend Ryan, he went back to his hotel room. Me, I'm on a walk. I am getting some exercise in. I don't expect there's much to see, but I figure I'm gonna go that way, where it says West Harbor, and see if I can take a walk along the waterfront. It's not a beach. It's not the ocean. But it's water, and I want to go look at it, so let's go. Now I can smell the water. that? And the sign over here says promenade hours. So I'm gonna go make sure that I think I can just walk here as long as it's between 4 and 9, which it is. I think I'm allowed to just go for this walk. There's also like a whale watching cruise that you can get for like 45 minutes for $20. I'm not doing that though, because first of all, I don't give a shit about whales. And second of all, I already spent, no, I didn't spend any money today, but still don't really care to do it. So I'm just gonna go for a walk. Here are these boats out here. 1 boat, 2 boat, 3 boat, 4 boat, red boat, blue boat, not really, but they're all white. But yeah, it's a bunch of boats or ships. I don't know, what do you call this kind of vessel? I think it's a boat. Okay, well, the promenade came to an abrupt end a lot faster than I thought it was. I thought this was gonna be like a walk for real, but it was about 400 steps. All right, let's go back. I have to pee anyway. I feel really childish for this, but I just realized that this place has the leaves I like from my childhood. I mean, everybody's probably walked by and played with these leaves, but I literally don't remember seeing them since I was a kid. So I'm gonna play with this leaf like a kid, because I can, because nobody's here to watch me and for me to be embarrassed. Wait, I found one that did it. Let's try again. Let's do it again. Yay! Excited. It disappeared and y'all couldn't see it. Wow, nothing good can happen to me today, huh? Alright, that's it for me, y'all. I finished going for a little walk. I've only got like 8,000 steps, almost 9,000 steps for today, but I am tired. And number one rule that I've learned in being a flight attendant is when you are tired, sleep. Don't, like, I can't just account for, oh, you know, I should wait until this time to sleep because then I can get this amount of sleep before my next call time, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't work. It never works out the way you plan it. So rather than planning my sleep perfectly to this and that and the third, I just find that it is better when you're tired, sleep. When you're tired and you have time, sleep. If you are in the hotel room and you have time, sleep. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to go to bed. I'm not gonna set an alarm because it is like 1 in the afternoon, 2:19 p.m. It's 2:19 p.m. There is 0 chance of me accidentally oversleeping past my call time at like 6 in the morning. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to sleep. See y'all another time. Thanks for watching. If you like vlogs and like travel videos, I have some better ones than this, and you can find them here. Go ahead and click here for my travel. Hey, guess what? This is the next day, and it's the end of the day on go home day. Is this my home? Is this where I live? No, it's not. Today was one of those days in aviation. It's actually very well planned as far as taking a video goes, like, because I have stuff to talk about. But yeah, I was supposed to be home right now. Like, I could have been in my bed, but instead I'm in Detroit. No offense if you're from Detroit, but I don't want to be here. But I'm gonna go have dinner with my crewmates, and when I get back, I'm gonna hopefully be drunk, and I'll tell you then what happened. So that last mission was successful. I did get a drink. I got many drinks. I got drunk, And then I didn't get on here and tell the story because I didn't want to be sloppy. And I also didn't want to accidentally tell parts of the story that I don't think belong on the internet. I'm ready to tell you about the worst day I've ever had as a flight attendant thus far. So it all started with a late van time. So flight attendants, we have a certain time we're supposed to get to our van in order to get to the airport on time for our flight. Sometimes the company sets it, sometimes we set it for ourselves. But generally speaking, the company sets it, and whatever time the company says that we need to be in the van, if as long as we're there, we'll make it to our flight on time. However, on this day, going to LAX, the traffic was quite hefty. And so, even though the company set our van time at what we all thought was a reasonable time, we did end up being about 10 minutes late to our gate. So, there's like a little bit of like tension between flight attendants and gate agents because while we both have to kind of work in unison to get the flights out on time, sometimes there's like a blame game that goes on. So sometimes if the flight doesn't go out on time, sometimes the flight attendants end up blaming the gate agents, sometimes the gate agents end up blaming the flight attendants. We shouldn't have to blame each other, but there is a level of wanting to cover your own butt, right? So apparently before we got to the gate, the guests were all told, hey, the reason that we're delayed right now is because the flight attendants aren't here yet. And they weren't told that it's not our fault that we're not here yet. Everybody seeing us arrive to the gate when 10 minutes late thought that we were irresponsible. We showed up late because we just showed up late. Even though it was 5 of us, all 5 of us showing up at the same time should tell you something. But whatever. That's why when, even though we boarded with plenty of time to spare, people still thought we left late because the flight attendants were late. The truth is, we boarded with plenty of time to spare, and the pilots came on actually 20 minutes into boarding because they also had a late van time. But none of that matters because we left LA late because our destination, Detroit, had a storm. Actually, a bundle of storms. They were like storm pockets, right? And the thing that happens to keep everyone safe and to make sure that not all of the flights are coming in at the same exact moment, what air traffic control will do is they won't let any flights depart from their original location until their destination is clear. So we were all ready to go, but we couldn't depart from LA because there was a storm in Detroit. So some time passes. Maybe we depart 15, 20 minutes late. But it's not because anyone wasn't on time. It's not because of the flight attendants. It's not because of the gate agents. It's not because of the pilots. It's because there's a storm in Detroit. And that's the first most important thing to know in this little wacky little story. The second thing that occurred is that right when, we prepared for landing, we were ready to arrive in Detroit, we started our descent, and then we reversed our descent because the storms were back. There were more storms in Detroit. We weren't allowed to land at the Detroit airport. And because we flew all the way across the US from LA to Detroit, we simply did not have enough gas in the tank. We didn't have enough fuel to keep circling and waiting for Detroit airport to open back up. So we had to divert. Original idea was, let's divert to Pittsburgh. But apparently the president was in Pittsburgh. I don't know, but whatever. We were told due to the president's presence in the Pittsburgh airport, we couldn't land there either. So we diverted to Chicago. Would have made sense, but no. We diverted to Cleveland. And the reason Cleveland didn't make as much sense as Chicago in most people's minds is because the storm was going in that direction. So we land in Cleveland, and everybody is not happy. In particular, there's a man who's very angry. Oh, hold up. Let me go rotate my fries. Okay, so the next wacky little thing that happened is this man was really angry as soon as we opened up the doors to, because you have to have the doors open to refuel and other things, have to exchange paperwork, whatever, because everything has to be documented. Even when you divert, you're not actually at your destination, you have to document that too, and whatever. So we land, we open up the door. As soon as I'm making my announcement for the other flight attendants and disarming their doors, this man starts yelling, and he is upset. First of all, he's blaming me specifically. Me, the girl next to me, and one other flight attendant. I don't know who, because he said the three of us were late. And because the three of us are late, that's why we hit the storm. And because we hit the storm, we've ruined his day. He's very hungry. He's so hungry that because he hasn't eaten since yesterday, and that's somehow my problem. He hasn't eaten since yesterday, and he's so hungry, so I better get the cart out and start serving some snacks and drinks right now. But I'm a professional. So, I had time to think about how I was going to respond. You know what I could have done is put him off the plane because he's being very aggressive and he's trying to cause a riot and he's being very intimidating and he cursed at me. I forgot to mention he cursed at me. He told me I needed to get the effing cart out right now. I better get the effing cart out right now. Right effing now. However, I didn't put him off the plane. I, in fact, gave him what he wanted. I gave him a bag of pretzels and water. There's a reason. Okay, and I had a conversation with him. I told him first and foremost, here, no, sir, I don't want you to pass out on the plane. Yes, sir, I do care about your well being. I'm sorry, sir, that you're not having a good day. However, you do need to talk to everyone on board with respect. The same way that I respect you, you need to have respect for me. And then I explained to him how I wasn't late, not in the sense that he thinks I was. I showed up at the time that I was supposed to show up for my van, and I got to the airport at the time that I got to the airport, and it wasn't my fault. I let him know that. But the reason that I was patient and kind and sweet and I gave him what he wanted even though he demanded it in the rudest way I've ever heard is because that's my job. They pay me to de-escalate these kind of crazy situations. They pay me to be sweet to people even when they're not sweet to me. This is literally what my job is. So, despite the fact that a lot of people think, well, what I would have done is, maybe it's not the job for you because this is what you should do, is what I did. So I felt really good about the choice that I made, especially because he pissed me off and I really wanted nothing more than to put him off the plane. But I thought to myself, let's say, what if this man really, all the things that he described are true? That he got moved from his yesterday flight to today's flight, not of any fault of his own, that he hasn't eaten since yesterday and has no money and can't buy a snack or drink, and obviously thought he would be at his destination by now. And if he had been at his destination right now, he would be getting food, therefore he wouldn't be angry. All of that jazz, right? If all of that is true, then putting him off the plane in Cleveland when he was supposed to be in Detroit is just the cruelest thing that I could do. So I didn't do that. Then, like right after this guy gets what he wants and chills out, there's another woman, she's throwing up, or girl, not sure, a young person just throwing up on the plane. All right. I mean, I got her a bag as soon as possible. I'm not sure if she made it or not. For context, this was also supposed to be go home day. So originally my schedule for that day was LA to Detroit, Detroit to Houston. And I was going to be in my bed that night, set for another trip the next day. That would not happen. That man who yelled at me, the throwing up girl, all sorts of people on the plane complained of being nauseous, sick, hot, just all sorts of ailments, and all of them needed food, water, or ginger ale, something like that. And I gave it to all of them. I don't just like freely give out the company's foods and drinks because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get fired. However, if people are unwell, we are supposed to try and help them. And if people say that they're nauseous, they need a little bit of something to fill their tummy. And they need something to settle their stomach, like water or ginger ale. That's like common knowledge, I believe. So I'm not going to try and go through and decide this person's pretending to be sick and this person's really sick. That's not my job. I'm not a doctor. Everyone who said that they felt unwell, I did my best to accommodate them because it was a lot of turbulence because of the storms before landing in Cleveland, and all that turbulence does make people nauseous. So, anyways, all of that happened. Finally, we've got refueled. Finally, we're getting ready to go. We're gonna make it to our next flight. Everything's gonna be fine. We close the doors, we do the demo, we start leaving, and we stop before we even took off. We're just chilling on the tarmac. Why? Because the storm that was in Detroit is now here in Cleveland. The storm is here now. Fortunately, the storm being here, it wasn't that long. It didn't take that long. But it was just another annoying step, another extra thing to happen. Finally, we take off, we land. It was like that quick. We take off, we land. It was a very short flight from Cleveland to Detroit. We're in Detroit. We've missed our next flight. So pause. If you made it this far in the video, I feel like it's not because you like this type of video. It's because you like me. And I like you. We like each other. We should get to know each other. You should subscribe. Thanks. But before we deplane, there's a process. Once again, there's a process. So usually the gate agent, she comes, she brings the jet bridge to the door, she opens the door, she says, here's where people can pick up their luggage, how many wheelchairs do you have? And I tell her. That's the process. As soon as we landed and the seatbelt sign comes off, this dude comes running up from, mid-ish cabin like he was gonna bust through the doors or something. So I trying not to be confrontational because if I confront him, he's gonna come back at me. I don't want no smoke. No smoke, not with a grown man. So I try to make it sound like I'm talking to my crewmate instead. And I'm like, oh man, sure is taking a while for that jet bridge to get here. I wish I could open the door, but I can't because the jet bridge isn't here yet. I want to make sure this guy knows, you can't bust through the door. You'll fall 20 feet. I heard that the jet bridge is really hard to drive. Is it really hard to drive? And she's like, yeah, I used to be a gate agent. It is really hard to drive. You need a license for that. I'm like, oh, wow, how interesting to know. I'm talking all loud on purpose, once again, because I want this man to hear me, but I don't want to talk to him because the way that his whole demeanor, his whole I need to get out of here. He's acting a fool, and I just know anything I say to him, he's gonna argue. And I don't want any of that. I'm already having a bad day. Alright? Well, as soon as the gate agent gets the door open and we're exchanging our words that we're supposed to exchange, this man did what he seemed like he was going to do. He busted right through. Mind you, she's standing across the doorway like this. No guest is supposed to go ahead of her to the bottom of the jet bridge because she has to enter in a special code to open up that door so an alarm doesn't go off. There's a process. There's a process. This man said F the process. He busts right through where her arm is at. But she's a big lady. She's not like big like chubby. She's big like solid. And so when he goes to push past her, his neck actually caught right here. It must have been very embarrassing for him because he basically choked himself out while knocking her over. So, yes, he assaulted the woman, choked himself out at the same time, then rushed to the bottom of the jet bridge. Now I can't let nobody else off the plane because there's a potentially dangerous man in the jet bridge. However, it only took like 60 to 90 seconds for the gate agent to get to the top, enter in her codes to make the alarm stop sounding, do what she had to do to, let the other coworkers know what happened, and then she said the coast was clear for us to deplane the rest of the passengers. So we did so. As much as there were a lot of people who were angry on that flight, angry about the delay, angry about the weather, angry about feeling like they didn't know what was going on, even though we communicated with them every step of the way, there were a lot of people who said they will never fly my airline again, like we can control the weather. Like it was our fault. That happens though, but there were just as many people that deplaned that said I did a great job. They really liked, that I tried to keep it upbeat and positive the whole time. I told some corny jokes over the loudspeaker. People liked them. Some people told me some jokes back. Yeah, there was a lot of positive feedback that came along with the negative feedback, and I knew that none of the negative feedback was personal. None of it had to do with me, if that makes sense. So, while that was a very stressful, very tiring, very annoying day, and I did have to write 3 separate reports, but, all's well that ends well. That crazy guy will never probably fly my airline again, and I'm not on that flight anymore. I'd say that's a positive ending to a very, very rough day. But that is why, I went, had dinner with my crewmates. We had drinks. We, had a good time. I needed the wind down. I needed the drinks. I needed a little release after, ooh, that sounds like something else went down. Nothing else went down. But I needed some stress relief after a day like that. And I was the lead. I was the lead. I was the one in the front of the aircraft almost the whole time. Mm-mm. I don't really like days like that. So there are some very rough days. Also, what you don't think about when you're thinking about becoming a flight attendant is how often delays and reroutes happen. I was supposed to go home that day, didn't happen. I ended up spending the night in Detroit. Then the next trip that I was supposed to have that start the next day, of course, that couldn't happen either because I had to go home that day, and so on and so forth. It's a trickling waterfall. It's a waterfall effect. Just know that if you are turning towards aviation as a potential career, there are things that happen in aviation that you may not be prepared for, or you should be prepared for, but sometimes you think you're ready and you're not. Sometimes it involves taking crap from people and just eating that and not giving it back. Sometimes it involves having to rewrite your whole schedule. Not your whole schedule, but like any plans I had for that evening or the next day or the day after that, all canceled, right? Because I wasn't in any of the places I was supposed to be those days. And sometimes you just have to forget. I don't tell a lot of story times on this channel because most story times are about negative things that happen, but the truth is that when negative things happen, I forget about it. Really, I usually forget all about it. There are negative things. There are medical emergencies. There are delays. There are rude passengers. There are all sorts of negative things that happen. But I leave that on the plane. You know, it happened and now it's over. And now it's not happening anymore. And I've forgotten about it. Just like I will forget about this story by next week. And that's on purpose because I don't want to live miserably. I don't want to have to recount all the worst days and think about those weighing on my mind. You know, there are a lot of good days, and you'll never make it in the airlines industry if you can't forget the negative because there's a lot of negative. Alright, well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more content about being a flight attendant, click here. Click here for more content about being a flight attendant, more flight attendant stories and tips and tricks and etc. So bye!